Hello students, welcome to Time Classes. Today's session will be on sets, relations and functions. Okay, so we'll start with the concepts of set theory first. We will see what is a set, we'll see the types of sets, we will see what is subset, proper subset, what is a power set. We will also look at basic operations on sets, the union, intersection. We'll also look at symmetric difference of sets, and we will also look at how to represent sets in the form of Venn diagrams. Then we will learn the concept of Cartesian product of two sets, how to define a relation on the Cartesian product, the types of relations, and then we will move on to functions, how a function is defined, what are the types of functions, and composition of functions, and we'll look at various examples which will help us to understand the concepts clearly. I hope you are set for this session and have the required handout, which is QAHO 3571723. Alright, let us begin with the session. First thing we'll see is what is a set. Okay, so a set is a well-defined collection of objects. Okay, a set is a well-defined collection of objects. Now these objects of the set, these are known as elements of the set. Okay, the objects of the sets are known as the elements of the sets. Now we have to remember a few symbols which we use to denote a few things. So for example, when we say X belongs to A, so this symbol represents belongs to. Okay, so we read it as X belongs to A. Okay, X is the element of the set A, and this symbols represents that X belongs to set A. Similarly, if we have written this symbol with a cross, then this will imply that the element X does not belong to the set A. Okay, fine. So you are clear with the notations? Okay, how do we represent the sets? There are two ways of representing the sets. One is roster form. What do we do in a roster form is this: we actually list all the elements inside curly brackets. So it is like this. So for example, if I list all the elements 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so these are 5 elements. If we list them inside a curly bracket, this is known as writing the set in roster form. Okay. Now another form is set builder form. Here we write it in a way such that we define a process or a formula to derive the elements of the set. So I'll just give you an example to see how we write the set in set builder form. So see, here we have written X belongs to n. Here n means natural number. Okay, this n means natural number. X belongs to n, and this straight line, or we can say vertical line, this means such that. We read it as such that. Okay, so X is an element that belongs to natural number such that X is less than 12, and also X is even number. So we have been given a condition or a process by which we can derive what are the elements of the set, isn't it? So if I ask you, list all the even natural numbers which are less than 12. So which will be those even numbers? Those even numbers which are less than 12, even natural numbers, are nothing but 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So actually we are writing the same set as we have written above, but we are writing it in a different form. Okay, so this form is known as set builder form, and this is known as roster form. I hope you are clear with the distinction. So how to write in a roster form, how to write in a set builder form. Fine, let us move ahead. we are looking at a few types of sets. Okay, so we have something called null set. Null set is nothing but an empty set. So an empty set is known as a null set. So a set which has no elements. If a set has no elements, then we call it as a null set. Okay, so it is written like this. It is read as phi, and we can also represent it in this way. We just write two curly brackets and we don't write any element between those curly brackets. That also denotes that it is empty set. Okay, so these are two ways you denote a null set or an empty set. For example, so we are writing a set in the set builder form. X is an element such that X is an integer and X lies between 1 and 2. X is greater than 1 but less than 2. Do we have any integer between the number 1 and 2? No, between 1 and 2 we will not have any integer. So we can say there is no element which will satisfy the conditions given here. So in this case, this set is a null set because it will have no elements. Okay, I hope this is clear. Okay, let's move ahead. There are finite and infinite sets. What is a finite set? A set which is either an empty set. Empty set is also a finite set. Okay, so a set which is either an empty set or contains a finite number of elements. Finite number of elements mean number of elements which you can count. And otherwise, the set is known as infinite set. Okay, let's look at an example. You will understand it better. Finite set. So set of vowels. Okay, set of vowels. So in English alphabets, how many vowels are there? A, E, I, O, U. So we have finite number of elements in this. Okay, so this is an example of a finite set. Let's look at an example of an infinite set. The set of natural numbers. What are natural numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on and so forth. So there is no stoppage to it. We can go on and on. Alright. So the set of natural numbers is not a finite set. There are countless number of natural numbers. Okay, I hope this point is clear. Okay, let us go ahead and see what is a singleton set. Singleton set is basically a set having only one element, or we can say exactly one element. So any set which has exactly one element, that is known as a singleton set. So suppose we have a set in which we have only one element A. So this is an example of a singleton set. Okay, let's look at this. What is cardinality of a set? Cardinality of a set is nothing but number of elements in a set. Okay, and how do we denote it? We write a small n and inside brackets we write the set. Here the set is A. So this represents number of elements in set A. Okay. So for example, suppose set A is, if set A is P, Q, R, S, these are 4 elements, then we will say NA is 4, which means cardinality of set A is 4. Fine. What are equal sets? Two sets are said to be equal if they have the exact same elements. Okay. So let's look at this. We have A, B, C, D, E. Here also we have A, B, C, D and E. Okay. So these are known as equal sets. Now if you see in set B, you will see that order of the elements have been jumbled. So that does not make a difference. You can write A, B, C, D, E, or you can write B, D, A, C, E. You can write the elements in any order. That does not change the set. The set still remains the same. So these two are equal sets. They have exact same elements. Okay. Now there is a distinction between equal sets and something known as equivalent sets. What are equivalent sets? If two sets have the same cardinality. Okay. So here the elements need not be exactly same. You just need to have number of elements as same. Okay. So if the number of elements are same, we call them as equivalent sets. So let us look at this example. So we have A, B, C, D, E, 5 elements, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, again 5 elements. So these are equivalent sets but not equal sets. Okay. because the number of elements are same, but the elements themselves are not exactly the same. I hope the difference is clear between equal sets and equivalent sets. Fine. Let's move ahead. What is a subset of a set? So set A is a subset of set B if every element of A belongs to B. Okay. Set A is known as a subset of set B if set A contains only those elements which belong to set B. Set A might not contain all the elements of set B, but whatever elements set A has, those elements must be from set B only. So it is denoted like this. Okay. Then there is something called proper subset. So set A is a proper subset of B if there is at least one element of B which is not there in A. There must be at least one element of B which is not there in A. Okay. So we can say, for example, if we have set B as, let's say, 1, 2, 3 and set A as only 1, 2. So we'll say set A is a proper subset of set B because there is one element 3 in set B which is not there in A. Okay. Fine. Superset. If A is a subset of B, then we say that set B is the superset of A. Okay. Then we say that set B is a superset of set A. So simply put, we can say if A is a subset of B, then B is the superset of A. It is as simple as that. And it is denoted by this symbol. Okay. A is a subset of B is denoted by this, and B is a superset of A is denoted by this. Fine. Let's move ahead. What is the power set? So for any set A, suppose there is a set A, the set of all the subsets of A is called the power set of A. If we make a set which will contain all the possible subsets of A, then that is known as the power set of set A, and it is denoted by PA. Let's take an example, you will understand it better. Suppose there is a set A which has 3 elements, 1, 2 and 3. So this power set of A will contain all the possible subsets of set A. Now when you consider the subsets of any set, then null set or empty set is also a subset of any set. So first we include no elements, which means 5, null set. Then we start including only single element. So we can have 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then we take the combination of 2 elements. So we can have 1, 2, we can have 1, 3, we can have 2, 3. So we get 3 more subsets. And there is one more subset which is nothing but set A itself. If I take all the elements of set A, then this set is nothing but set A itself. Fine. So these are all the power set. These are all the subsets. These that you notice here, these are all subsets of set A, and this power set of A contains all possible subsets of set A. Now if you notice, you will see subsets of A will always have an empty set and will always have the set itself. Okay. So if set A is 1, 2, 3, then of all the subsets of A, there will be one subset which is empty set, and there is another subset which is the set itself. Okay. Remember this. And all these other sets, these can be known as proper subsets of A. Phi, which is empty set, that is also a proper subset of A. So these all are proper subsets of A because these contain at least one element which is not there in A. Okay. If A has n elements, suppose A has n elements, then power set of A will have 2 to the power n elements. Okay. So remember this. So this can also be understood in this way, that if a set A has n elements, then the number of all possible subsets of set A will be nothing but 2 to the power n. What is n? N is the number of elements. Okay, n will be the number of elements. So any set having n elements will have 2 to the power n subsets, out of which there will always be a subset which is null set phi and a subset which is the given set itself. Okay. Now what is a universal set? The set that contains all the elements in a given context. Okay. The set that contains all the elements in a given context, that is known as universal set. Just to give you an example, let's look at this. In a plane geometry, the set of all points in the plane is the universal set. Okay. In the context of plane geometry, the set of all points in the plane is the universal set. Now in that universal set, we can have the set of triangles, we can have the set of straight lines, we can have the set of pentagons, we can have the set of hexagons, and so on. Okay. Now this universal set is denoted by this symbol, this, or a capital U shaped symbol. Okay. So this is known as mu and this is U. U stands for universal set. Okay. Fine. Let's move ahead. Let's look at a few questions as examples to understand the concept that we have learned so far. Okay. So let us say we have a set A, which has these 9 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. The question says the number of non-empty proper subsets of A is which number out of the given options. So number of non-empty proper subsets of A. Fine. Let's see. What is the total number of subsets? Just a while ago we have discussed. It is 2 to the power number of elements. Number of elements are 9. So what is the total number of subsets of A? 2 to the power 9, which is nothing but 512. Isn't it? Fine. Now out of all these subsets, one of the sets will be empty sets. One of the set will be empty set. Isn't it? And there will be another set which is set A itself. Okay. There will be one empty set out of all the subsets. There will be one empty set and one will be the set A itself. The question is asking about non-empty, so we don't have to use the null set, and also proper subsets. So we have to subtract the empty set as well as set A itself from the set of all subsets. Okay. So what is the answer? Out of these total number of subsets, this null set is subtracted and the set A itself is subtracted. So two sets we have to subtract. So answer will be 512 minus 2, which is 510. What is my correct answer? Correct answer is 510. Okay. I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the second example. So it is the same set A. It has the same 9 elements, 1 to 9. But the question is now saying the number of subsets of A that contain at least 2 elements. Okay. Now we have to consider those subsets which contain at least 2 elements. So can I say number of subsets of A that contain at least 2 elements will be equal to all possible subsets, which means total number of subsets. Okay. All possible subsets minus the set which has 0 elements. 0 elements means the null set or the empty set. So total subsets minus the set which has 0 element, which is empty set, minus those subsets with only 1 element. So from total subsets, if I subtract empty set and those subsets which only one element, I will get all those subsets which will have at least 2 elements, which means they will have 2 elements or more. What is the total number of subsets here? It is 2 to the power 9, right? 2 to the power number of elements. Minus 1, there is one empty set. So that empty set is subtracted. And how many subsets do we have which will have only single element? So if we are considering all the singleton subsets, then it is nothing but one set will be the set containing only 1, another set will be the set containing only 2, another set will be the set containing only 3, and so on. So if I take only those subsets which has exactly 1 elements, how many subsets, such subsets will be there? Nothing but 9. One of them will contain only 1, another will contain only 2, another will contain only 3, and so on. So these are 9 subsets which will have only 1 element. So if I subtract 1 and 9, I will be left with only those subsets which will have at least 2 elements. So answer is 512 minus 10. Minus 10 comes from minus 1 and minus 9. So my answer is 502. Okay. So option B is the correct answer. Fine. I hope this question was clear to you. Let us move on to the next one. Now again we have the same set A with 9 elements, and in this the question is saying the number of subsets of A that do not contain 7, 8 and 9. So I don't want any subsets which contain 7, 8 and 9. Okay. So which means I want only those subsets which contain elements from only these 6. Okay. We don't have to take all the elements in one go, but all the subsets that we want to form must be having elements from this pool only. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now the question becomes very simple. It is asking that we have to find the number of subsets that do not contain 7, 8 and 9, which means we have to only consider subsets which can be formed from the set which is having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as elements. Okay. So that is very simple. Instead of doing 2 to the power 9, we are actually doing 2 to the power 6, because we have only these 6 elements available. 7, 8 and 9, they do not have to be used. So it is basically 2 to the power 9 minus 3. 9 is the total number of elements minus 3 elements which we don't want to use. So which will leave you with 2 to the power 6, which is 64. Okay. The answer is 64. Fine. Okay. Now these are very simple examples. Let us look at this one. Now this might look a little bit complicated to you, but this can be easily managed. So let us read the question carefully and understand what is given. It says there is a set P which has all the elements 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on till 100. So basically they are giving you all the natural numbers till 100. Q is a non-empty subset of P. Okay. Q is another set which is a non-empty subset of P. If the product of all the elements of Q is even, all the elements which are present in Q, their product is even, how many such subsets Q are possible? So basically from this set P, we have to find out how many subsets can we have in which the product of all the elements will be even. So product of all the elements of Q will be even if there is at least one even number in Q. This point is very critical. So in a group of numbers, if even one number is even, then the product of all the numbers will always be even. If all the numbers are odd, then the product is going to be odd. Okay. So in a group of numbers, if all the numbers are odd, then the product will be odd. But if there is even one single even number, then the product is going to be even. Fine. So basically it means that there must be at least one even number in this subset Q, so that product of all the numbers is even. So number of subsets with at least one even number, can I say, will be equal to total subsets which are possible minus those subsets which will have all odd numbers. Okay. We want those subsets which has at least one even number. That can be written as total subsets minus those subsets which have all the odd numbers. So we will be left with only those subsets which will have at least one even number. What is the total number of subsets? Total number of subsets will be 2 to the power 100. Why 2 to the power 100? Because there are 100 elements in the set. Okay, 1 to 100, these are 100 natural numbers. So total number of subsets is 2 to the power 100. And how many subsets are there which will have only odd numbers? So out of first 50 natural numbers from here, these are, sorry, first 100 natural numbers, So these are our first 100 natural numbers. How many of these natural numbers will be odd? Exactly half, right? Half of them will be odd, half of them will be even. So out of these 100 numbers, 50 of them are odd. So how many subsets can we have from 50 odd numbers? If we have 50 elements, all of them are odd numbers. How many subsets do we have? 2 to the power 50. So this is what is 2 to the power 50. So these are all the subsets which will have all odd numbers only. Okay. So what is my answer? From all the possible subsets, I subtract all those subsets which will have only odd numbers. So I'll get those subsets which will have at least one even number, and therefore the product of all the numbers in that subset will be even. Okay. So this is the answer. So option B is the correct answer. Right? I hope this problem is clear. Although it looks a little bit complicated, if you think carefully, you can do it easily. Fine. Let us move ahead to the next concept of basic set operations. Okay. So we'll look at some basic operations on sets. One of them is union of sets. When we say union of two sets A and B, let us say we have two sets A and B. So union of set A and set B is the set of all those elements which belong to only A, only B, or both A and B. So we have to take all the elements of set A also and set B also. Okay. And remember that you don't have to duplicate the elements, which means whenever you write the elements in a set, we never write any element twice. Fine. Remember this fact. We never duplicate the elements, in the sense, in a set we will write every element only once. Fine. It is denoted by this symbol. This is read as A union B, and technically we say A union B means, in set builder form we will say all the elements X such that X belongs to A or X belongs to B. Here OR means inclusive. Okay. Here this word OR means inclusive. So if an element belongs to only A, then also it will be counted. If it belongs to only B, then also it will be counted. If it belongs to A and B both, then also it must be counted. Okay. So this is how we define the union of two sets. We'll take an example and understand. Suppose set A is 1, 2, 3, 4. Set B is 2, 3, 8. So what will be the union of set A and B? We have to take all the elements which are in set A and set B. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and then 8. From here I will not write 2 and 3 again, because we don't have to write duplicate elements. We'll write 2 and 3 only once. So you see, I have written 2 and 3 only once. We will not write 1, 2, 3, then again 2, 3, 4, 8. No. Every element will be written only once. So these are 5 elements. So A union B will have 5 elements. And these two are basically common elements. 2 and 3, these are common elements. That brings us to the next operation, which is intersection of sets. Intersection of two sets A and B is the set of all those elements which belong to both A and B. So if an element belongs to both A and B, then that element will be counted under intersection. So basically, in simple words, we can say the set of all the common elements, that will be the set A intersection B. Okay. It is denoted by this symbol, inverted U, like this. And taking the same example, it is in terms of set builder form, we write it like this. A intersection B is the set of all elements X such that X belongs to A and X belongs to B. And means it should belong to A as well as B. It should belong to both the sets. Okay. So in the same two sets A and B, in the same example, what is A intersection B? A intersection B is 2 and 3. As we said, 2 and 3 are the common elements, right? So in intersection, we'll have only these two elements, 2 and 3. Fine. Okay. Let's move ahead. Let's look at a couple of examples. which is related to union and intersection of sets. Okay. So here we have three sets A, B and C. So A is 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, B is 3, 4, 7, 8, 10 and C is 1, 3, 5, 8, 10. Then what is A union B intersection C? Let's look at this. What is A union B first? So I am trying to find this part first. A union B will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10. Right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 and then 8, 10, 4. 3 and 7 were already counted, so we don't have to count that twice. So this is the union of A with B. And then what is set C? Set C is nothing but 1, 3, 5, 8, 10. Now you have to look for this set C and this set A union B. And the question says now you have to look at the intersection of these two, right? We have to look at the intersection of these two. So within this and this, which are the elements which are common? So the common elements are 1, 3, 5, 8, 10, right? The common elements are 1, 3, 5, 8, 10. So A union B intersection C will be these 5 elements. And if you notice, these 5 elements, the set containing these 5 elements is nothing but set C itself, right? Set C was actually 1, 3, 5, 8, 10. And what we have got as A union B intersection C is again set C itself. So my required answer out of the given option is set C itself, which is option number D. Correct answer is option D. Okay, let's move ahead. Okay, so we have number of elements in A is 8, number of elements in B is 10. Then find the minimum number of elements in A union B. Find the minimum number of elements in A union B. Okay. Now, when do we have minimum number of elements in the union? So if we want number of elements in A union B to be minimum, what do we need? This is only possible. Okay, this thing will be possible, number of elements in A union B to be minimum. It is possible only when maximum number of elements are common to both the sets. Okay, so if we have maximum number of elements which is common to both the sets, then under union of the sets we will have minimum number of elements, isn't it? So what is the maximum number of elements that can be common? So this is in another words, I am stating the same thing in another words, is saying number of elements in A union B will be minimum when number of elements in A intersection B is maximum. So number of common elements is nothing but A intersection B. So for A union B to be minimum, A intersection B must be maximum. What is the maximum possible number of elements in A intersection B? Maximum number of common elements will be 8 only. Why only 8? Because this set A has less number of elements, set B has more number of elements. So if I consider the maximum possibility of common elements, we can have only 8 elements, because this set does not have more than 8 elements. How can we have more than 8 elements as common? Isn't it? So maximum number of common elements is 8, which means maximum of n A intersection B, cardinality of A intersection B is 8. If that is the case, then what is the minimum number of elements in A union B? So minimum number of elements in A union will be 10, right? Minimum number of elements in A union will be 10, because the 8 elements, they are common, and out of these 10 elements there are 2 elements which are not common, but we are talking about the union of sets. So when we talk about union of sets, then we have to count all the elements which lies in A, only B or both. So 8 elements are common, but there are 2 elements here which are not common, so those 2 elements will also be counted. So basically minimum number of elements in A union B is nothing but this number 10. Okay, let's look at question in the same example. What if I asked you what is the maximum number of elements in A union B? This question was asking you the minimum number of elements in A union B. Now I am asking what is the maximum number of elements in A union B. So we will do the reverse of this. That will happen when number of elements in A intersection B is minimum. Okay, just the reverse case. So if number of common elements are minimum, then number of elements in union will be maximum. What is the minimum possible number of common elements? It is nothing but 0, right? It is possible that no elements are common. So for n A intersection B to be minimum, it will be 0. So what is the maximum number of elements in A union B? 8 plus 10. Why 8 plus 10? Because there are no common elements. So all the elements in set A are different. All the elements in set B are different. So when we talk about union, we'll club all the elements from set A as well as from set B. So we'll have total number of elements as 8 plus 10, which is 18. Fine. I hope this is clear. Let's move ahead. This is another example. Okay. Now this is slightly different because in this case, set A has elements in this form, x comma y. So we have the set A in which the elements is a pair of elements, x comma y. Now what is the relationship? Y square has to be, y square is equal to 16x, and x and y belong to real numbers. This R means real number. And set B is also a set which contain elements in the form x comma y, and in this case y is equal to 2x. So relationship here is y is equal to 2x. Again x and y belong to real numbers. Then they are asking find the number of elements in set A intersection B. So set A, set B. Set A is y square is equal to 16x. Set B is y is equal to 2x. For A intersection B, it means we have to look at the common elements in A and B. So this and this should be satisfied simultaneously. For common elements in A intersection B, these two equations must be simultaneously satisfied. So what do? Y is equal to 2x. So we put the value of y as 2x here. Okay. So what do I get? 2x whole square is equal to 16x. Next we'll get 4x square is equal to 16x, which is x square is equal to 4x. Now take this 4x on the left hand side. So we'll get this, and then take x as common. So we'll get this. So x into x minus 4 is 0, which means x is either 0 or 4, right? Now if x is 0, I'll put the values here and get the value of y. Okay. So if x is 0, y will be also 0. If x is 0, then y is also 0. And if x is equal to 4, then 2 multiplied with 4 will get 8. So I am putting the value of x as 0 and 4 here. So I will get the value of y as 0 and 8. So one element will be 0 comma 0, x 0, y 0, 0 comma 0. Another element will be 4 comma 8. Those will be the common elements. So we'll say A intersection B will be 0 comma 0 is one element, 4 comma 8 is another element. Okay. So the question was asking about then the number of elements in A intersection B. So number of elements in A intersection B will be 2. This is one element, this is another element. So answer is 2, which is option number C. Okay. Fine. This is the answer. Let's move ahead. What are disjoint sets? Two sets A and B are said to be disjoint if they have no element in common. Okay. Disjoint sets are those sets which have no common element. So which means A intersection B is a null set, an empty set, which is represented as 5. So disjoint sets means if two sets A and B are disjoint, that means A intersection B is 5. So suppose A is 2, 4, 6, 8, B is 1, 3, 5. A and B are disjoint sets because there is no common element, right? In these two sets there are no common elements. So these are disjoint sets. Let's look at difference of sets. Let us say A and B are two sets. So when we write A minus B, it includes all those elements such that element must belong to A but not to B. Similarly, B minus A means all those elements which belong to B but not A. Okay. So A minus B means set of all those elements which are present in A but not in B, and B but not in A. So let's take an example here. A and B are two sets. When I write A minus B, we have to look for those elements which are there in A but not in B. So 1 and 4 are present in A but they are not present in B. So A minus B is 1, 4. What will be B minus A? Then look for those elements which are present in B but not in A. So which is the element which is present in B but not in A? It is only 8. So we will say B minus A is 8. Okay, I hope difference is clear. Let's look at this example. So we have set X which contain those elements small x such that this equation is satisfied, and set Y contains those elements small y such that this equation is satisfied. So let us first solve the equation and then we will see set Y minus set X gives us what relation, what elements. So when I solve this is a quadratic equation. We have learned how to solve quadratic equation. So we split the middle term, we get this, then take common terms, simplify like this, you will get the value of X as 6 and minus 1. So the set capital X has two elements, 6 and minus 1. Similarly, solve for Y. So this is a quadratic equation in Y, split the middle term like this, then you simplify it, take common terms, then simplify further, you will get Y as minus 1 and 9. Okay. So this set capital Y contains again two elements, minus 1 and 9. The question is asking about what is Y minus X. Y minus X. So when we do set Y minus set X, I have to look for those elements which are present in Y but not in X. So which are the elements present in Y but not in X? It is only 9. Okay, 9 is present in Y but not in X. So Y minus X will be 9. Okay, clear? Okay, let's move ahead. What is complement of a set? Complement of a set A is the set of all those elements that do not belong to set A. So complement of a set A means those elements which do not belong to set A. So it is denoted by A and we write it as A dashed. This is known as A dashed, or we write small c as a superscript. So A dashed or A to the power c, we can say, is known as A complement. So this is how we denote the complement of A. So we can also write A complement of set A as universal set minus set A. All those elements which do not belong to A, all those elements of the universal set which do not belong to A. Universal set minus set A gives me A complement. Let's look at symmetric difference of two sets. So let's say A and B are two sets. Then this is how we denote symmetric difference of two sets, by the symbol triangle. And this is nothing but the union of A minus B with B minus A. And the same thing can also be written as A union B minus A intersection B. Okay. So symmetric difference of two sets A and B is this, and that will come out to be same as this. We can write it as either A minus B union B minus A, or we can write A union B minus A intersection B. Okay. So suppose I have these two sets, example A and B. So A triangle B, which means symmetric difference of the sets A and B. So I am doing it using both the methods, this one and this one. You will see that we get the same result. We can write it as like this or like this. So what is A minus B? A minus B is 1 comma 2, all those elements which belong to A but not to B. What is B minus A? B minus A will be similarly 5 comma 6. Okay. Here A union B will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and A intersection B will be 3 comma 4. Then we have to look for the union of 1, 2 with 5, 6. So union of these 4 elements is 1, 2, 5, 6. Here also you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minus 3, 4. So out of all these elements, I do not have to count 3 and 4. So once again we get 1, 2, 5, 6. You see we get the same result. So we can use either this or this as symmetric difference of two sets A and B. I hope this point is clear. And in set theory, this is an important property which we can use in some questions to get our answers easily. Number of elements in A union B is number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus number of elements in A intersection B. So under union, we can find the number of sets in the set A union B as number of elements in A plus number of elements in B. When we are adding number of elements in A with number of elements in B, then the common elements are being added twice. That is why we have to subtract these common elements once. Okay. Fine. Let's look at some examples. So if number of elements in A is 9 and number of elements in B is 5, then what is the maximum number of elements in symmetric difference? Okay. So number of elements in symmetric difference is nothing but this, right? That is what we have learned in the previous slide. Now this is going to be maximum when this is maximum and this is minimum. Okay. So what is minimum number of elements in A intersection B? Minimum number of elements in A intersection B will be 0. And if there is no common element, if this is 0, that means there is no common element. So in that case, what is the maximum number of elements in A union B? It is nothing but number of elements in A plus number of elements in B. We have just learned that property in the last slide. Number of elements in A union B is nothing but number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus the common elements, which is number of elements in intersection. But here we are taking minimum number of elements in A intersection B, which is 0. So that part is already 0. So what is the number of elements in A plus number of elements in B? It is 9 plus 5 and minus this 0, and that is 14. Okay. So our correct answer is 14. Fine. Okay. Let's look at the concept of Venn diagrams. We can represent the set in terms of Venn diagrams also. Okay. Let's look at this. Looking at this Venn diagram, this is A union B. When we say A union B, so you have to look for the shaded part. So this Venn diagram represents A union B. This represents A intersection B, the common part. This represents A complement, means we have to look for all the area except set A. So outside of set A, everything is A complement. And this is an example which gives you A minus B, right? All those elements which belong to set A but not to set B, that is A minus B. So this is A minus B. Okay. Let's look at this. So we'll solve this using the concept of Venn diagram, and we'll easily see how we can get the answer using this. So A, B, C are 3 sets, and we have to look for what? A minus C intersection C minus B. Okay. A, B, C are 3 sets. We have to look for A minus C intersection C minus B. What will be A minus C? A minus C will be all the portion which belongs to A but not to C. So this horizontal shading gives you A minus C, and this crisscross shading gives you similarly C minus B. Okay, gives you C minus B. C minus B is nothing but this region, which is this crisscross shading. So we have to look for the intersection between these two shaded parts. Okay, we have to look for the intersection between these two shaded parts. As you will see, in the horizontal shading and in the crisscross shading, there is nothing which is common. So that means there is no common region, which means the intersection is a null set. So it is 5. Okay, so answer is a null set, it is 5. Okay, let's look at this example. In a group of 15, 7 can speak Spanish, 8 can speak French, and 3 can speak neither. So how many can speak both Spanish and French? Okay, I hope the question is clear. You can take help of the Venn diagram to solve this. So this circle represents people speaking Spanish, and this represents people speaking French. Okay, so let us say X people speak both, so it will come in the middle, and this entire circle, the left circle, represents people who speak Spanish, so which is 7. So I have written 7 here. So this portion will be 7 minus X. Similarly, this portion will be 8 minus X, because this entire circle is 8. Okay, and this 3 is outside. Why is 3 outside? Because it says 3 can speak neither of the languages. Fine. So now let's make the equation. This plus this plus this plus this is equal to the universal set, which is total number of people here, which is 15. Okay, so solving this equation, this plus this plus this plus this, that is equal to 15. If you solve this, you will get X is equal to 3. What was X? X was a total number of people who speak both the language, and that is what the question is asking for. How many can speak both Spanish and French? So answer is 3. Option C. Okay. Let's look at an alternative approach of solving the same question. So we have learned this property. Number of elements in S union F will be number of elements in S plus number of elements in F minus number of elements in S intersection F. This is 12. Why this is 12? Because there are, out of 15, there are 3 people who speak neither of the languages. That means there are 15 minus 3, which is 12 people who speak either Spanish or French. So N of S union F, S is for Spanish, F is for French, that union will be 12. Okay, and number of people who speak Spanish is 7, number of people who speak French is 8, number of people who speak both, that we don't know, that we have to find. So if we solve this equation, I will get number of people speaking both the languages is 3. Okay, I hope this question is clear to you. Let us move ahead. What is the Cartesian product of two sets? Okay, next concept is Cartesian product of two sets. So suppose A and B are two sets, then the Cartesian product of A and B is the set of all ordered pairs small a comma small b, where small a belongs to set A and small b belongs to set B. So if there are two sets A and B, then Cartesian product is the set of all ordered pairs. So we have to have a pair of elements in which the first element is from set A, the second element is from set B. So all the set of such ordered pairs, that is known as Cartesian product. It is denoted by A cross B. Okay, it is denoted by A cross B. It is read as A cross B. It is not A multiplied with B. It is read as A cross B. So A cross B is small a comma small b, such that small a belongs to A, small b belongs to B. So if A is, let's say, 1 comma 2 comma 3 and B is small a small b, then A cross B will be 1 with A, 2 with A, 3 with A, 1A, 2A, 3A. Then we'll have 1 with B, 1B, 2b, 3b. So 1b, 2b, 3b. So these are all the ordered pairs where the first element is from set A, the second element is from set B. Okay. We can also have B cross A. Now B cross A is not same as saying A cross B. In B cross A, you have to take the first element from set B and the second element from set A. Keep that in mind. Okay. When we do B cross A, then the first element has to be taken from set B and the second element has to be taken from set A. Okay. So we'll have now other way around, A1, A2, then A3, then again B1, B2 and B3. Fine. So this is how we'll get B cross A. So A cross B is not necessarily same as B cross A. Now suppose number of elements in A, set A is P, small p, and number of elements in set B is small q. Okay, number of elements in set A is small p, number of elements in set B is small q. Then what will happen? Number of ordered pairs in A cross B is P into q. Now this is into q. We have to multiply the number of elements. Okay. Fine. Let's understand it once again. Number of elements in A if it is P and number of elements in B if it is q. Okay. The number of ordered pairs in A cross B is P multiplied with q. Fine. For example, if you notice here, number of elements in A, here, let's look at set. This is A, this is B. What is the number of elements in set A here? The number of elements in set A is 1, 2, 3, which are 3 elements, and number of elements in set B is AB, which is 2. So what will be the number of elements in A cross B? It will be 3 elements here, 2 elements here. So it is nothing but 3 multiplied with 2, which is 6. So do you see here? These are 6 elements, right? As you will see, these are 6 elements. Same way, let's do the other way around. What will be the number of elements in B cross A? So inside B cross A, we will have number of elements as 2 multiplied by 3, which means it is again 6. So we have 6 elements here, as you can see. Okay. I hope this is fine. If number of elements in set A is P, number of elements in set B is Q, the number of ordered pairs in A cross B is P multiplied with Q. Next point. A cross B is not necessarily equal to B cross A. So as you will see, this is not same as this. These are not same. Okay. Number of elements in A cross B will be same as number of elements in B cross A. This is also true. Number of elements in A cross B will be same as the number of elements in B cross A, as you have seen in this case, right? As we have seen in this case. Fine. Now suppose, let's take an example. If I tell you that A is a set and B is also a set. Okay. Now if I tell you that A cross B has 48 ordered pairs. A cross B has 48 ordered pairs. So which of the following can't be number of elements number of elements in set A. Okay, so these are the options: 12, 6, 4, 14. Which of the following is correct? So we have A cross B has 48 ordered pairs. Okay, so which means under A cross B, all the elements that we have made will be ordered pairs, where first element is taken from set A and the second element is taken from set B. Okay, and question is saying, so it has 48 ordered pairs, and question is saying that which of the following can't be the number of elements in set A. Okay, now suppose we'll be using this property to solve this. Suppose this has P elements and this has Q elements. Okay, so number of ordered pairs in A cross B is nothing but P into Q, and that is equal to 48. So can I say whatever is the number of elements in set A, which is P, it will be nothing but whatever is the number of elements in set P, it is nothing but the possible factors of 48, isn't it? It will be nothing but all the possible factors of 48. What are the possible factors of 48 that we can see in the options? The possible factors of 48 that we see in the option is 12. That is a possibility. That can be the number of elements in set A. Then we have 6. That can also be the number of elements in set A. 4, that is also a factor of 48. That can also be the number of elements in set A. 14 is not a possibility, because 14 is not a factor of 48. The question says which of the following can't be the number of elements in set A. So 14 cannot be the number of elements in set A. So I hope this part is clear. You have understood what is a Cartesian product. So we'll carry on the discussion further in the second part of this session, and we will see some more things related to Cartesian product. So the further discussion will be on what are relations, the types of relations, functions, and various other things under functions. Okay, thank you so much.